I promise that He will be there and He will pick you up out of that. And so don't miss that truth this morning. Don't miss that truth this morning. But I want us to look at a couple of other things. I don't want us to just focus on Peter's failure. I want us to look at Peter's faith. It says that the disciples got into the boat and they went out onto the water. Now we know there were at least 12 disciples. There could have been lots more in that boat that day. But we know that there were at least 12. At least 12. And Jesus tells them, guys, you get in the boat and you go and I'll meet you on the other side. Now let's think about something for a second. Jesus is God. He knows all things. So of course He knew that that storm was coming, right? Of course He knew that that storm was coming. Did He give them any warning? Did He say, guys, you're sailing right into a storm. Careful. No. Jesus said, get in the boat and go. Get in the boat and go. Jesus commanded them to sail right into the middle of that storm. Ladies and gentlemen, Christianity is tough. And whoever said Christianity was easy was not a believer, I promise you. Because it is tough. Life is tough. We go through some pretty incredible things. We experience loss. We experience heartache. We experience death. We experience all these different storms of life. We experience all these different things. And yet, who leads us and who guides us and who directs our path into the middle of those storms? That's a pretty wicked thought, isn't it? That's kind of mind-boggling. That Jesus would just send you right into the middle of that storm. And some of you are thinking, oh no, my Jesus doesn't send me into the middle of storms. Let's talk about the Jesus that you serve. You see, folks, we all have to go through storms. We all have to go through these storms of life. Because it's in the middle of those storms that we grow the most. In the middle of that storm that day, we're going to see that Peter grew leaps and bounds. Did he take his eyes off the Lord? Absolutely. Would you have done the exact same thing? Probably. So let's not get down on Peter for that. Jesus sent them right into the middle of that storm. And this morning, He is sending you right into the middle of the storm. He has already sent some of you into the middle of the storm. And you're sitting there and you're saying, why is this happening? Why am I in the middle of this? Because Jesus wants you there. Because He's trying to teach you something. He's trying to grow you. Don't fight it. If Jesus is sending you into something, just go. Be obedient. I can stand up on the stage and I can testify about storm after storm after storm that I've gone through personally, that Jesus has brought me through. And I can show you how He's grown me. And I promise you that there are people out here in this congregation that can do the exact same thing. They can stand up right now and testify that they went through a storm and Jesus grew them. And it may be that Jesus grew them the most in that storm. If Jesus is sending you out into the storm, don't fight it. Be obedient. Go. Jesus tells His disciples, get into the boat and go. Get into the boat and go. Where's Jesus sending you? Where has Jesus told you to go? And have you been obedient? Have you been obedient? So that's the first thing I wanted us to look at today. Now let's look at the second. Starting verse 24, it says, "Meanwhile the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, 'It's a ghost!' Jesus spoke to them at once. 'Do not be afraid,' he said. 'Take courage, I am here.'" Take courage, I am here. Did Jesus lead them out in that storm to fend for themselves? No. The Jesus that I serve, the Jesus of the Bible, he didn't leave them to do that storm alone. He walked right out into the middle of that storm to face it right with them. This morning, if you're in the middle of a storm, guess what? You are not alone. And you need to cling to that. You need to grab onto that. You are not alone. Because Jesus is right there with you, right in the middle of the storm with you. He is not going to leave you out there to perish. He is not going to leave you out there to fend for yourself. He is going to walk out there. He is going to face that storm right with you. Cling to that. Lean on that. This morning, if you're going through a trouble, if you're going through a hard time, this morning, if you've experienced loss, if your heart has been broken, this morning, if you are going through things that you never thought possible, you're not alone. Because your Jesus is right there with you. And he is battling that storm right alongside you. And he is saying to you this morning, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. I'm here. I'm here. Cling to that. Hold on to it. Next part. Starting in verse 28. Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water." "Yes, come," Jesus said. Here's the point that I really want to hit on this one. There were at least 12 people in that boat that day. There were at least 12 people in that boat that day. Maybe more, but at least 12. What occupation did Peter have before he followed Christ? What? Fisherman. He was a fisherman. Peter knew about boats. Peter was a master of boats. The boat was a safe place for him. The boat was a comfortable place for him. Probably the most comfortable place in the entire world was when Peter was in a boat. That was his life. That's what he knew. And so why in the world, of all the disciples, why in the world would Peter say, "Lord, if it's really you, let me come out of this boat and come to you. Let me come out of my safe place and come to you. Let me come out of my comfort zone and be with you"? There were 12 other guys on that boat. Here's what I want you to understand today. Peter was the only one that stepped out of that boat. Because Jesus was not in the boat. Jesus was out on those waves and in that storm. Peter did not want to be comfortable. He wanted to be where Jesus was. Peter did not want to be safe. He wanted to be where Jesus was. Peter left the comfort and the safety of the boat to step out and go and be with his Lord and Savior. He wanted to be with Jesus. Some of you are so comfortable right now. Some of you have created the most comfortable thing that you can imagine. Your world is this comfort zone. This morning, I'm wondering if Jesus is asking you to step out of that and come to where he is. Church, we have created this building. This is a comfort zone for us. This has become a comfort zone for us. And we come here Sundays and Wednesdays, and we get fed, and we worship together. This has become a safe place. This has become a comfort zone for us. But what about the rest of the time when we're not in this comfort zone? What if God is calling you to step out to that place? What if God is calling you to step out to Orange? What if that is the storm that you need to face with Jesus? Don't let church become a comfort zone for you. Why don't you go and invite someone to come with you to here? Why don't you go out with us on Monday nights and go out and reach people? Step out into the storm. Is this the only time that you meet with Jesus every week? Or are you constantly meeting with Jesus? Are you constantly seeing him? Are you constantly going where he's working? You get into a routine. You get into a routine. We come here Sunday after Sunday. And this becomes a boat for us. What if everyone this week asks someone to come with them? For some of you, I just said that and you got scared to death. Oh my goodness, I could never ask somebody to come to church with me. Step out of the boat. Do it. Some of you are scared to death to witness to somebody. Step out of the boat. Do it. Some of you are scared to death to meet a need that you see somebody has. Step out of the boat and do it. I want us to realize that we get down on Peter a lot because he took his eyes off Jesus when we do the exact same thing every single day. But we don't give him credit for stepping out of the boat when he's the only one that would. We are so comfortable where we are. We are so comfortable where we are. And there are people all around us dying and going to hell every single day. And yet we remain comfortable. A lot of you have taken the study of experiencing God. One of the main points of experiencing God is see where God's at work and go and meet him there. You don't stay where you are and expect God to come to you and bring stuff to you. You see where God's at work and you go and meet him there. Jesus was not in that boat that day. Jesus was out on those waves. And Peter saw that and he went to him. Because that's where his heart was. That's where his heart truly was. His heart was where Jesus was. And this morning I'm asking the church, is your heart where Jesus is?